Hi everyone, welcome to the sewing studio. It's Jeanette with her friend Katrina here, and we're looking at Charm Pack challenges.
Hello.
So we had a lot of fun with these, didn't we?
We certainly did.
You ended up doing how many? 3?
Yes.
And I think I ended up doing 2. Probably still more to do yet. But you've shown me how to do yours.
Right.
And now I'm going to my turn.
Okay.
I'm going to show you how I did mine. Now, one of my things I thought when I was doing this is I mainly just wanted to use the Charm Pack. I didn't want to add lots and lots and lots of extra fabric to it.
Right.
So I very much stuck to that. Now, I've got to look at my notes because I can't remember all the numbers because I just can't remember things anymore.
I love the colours in this. It's lovely and soft.
Yeah, this was I was looking for a soft, I was thinking baby quilt.
Yeah, it's
baby
beautiful.
Quilt.
Can you remember what it's called?
No.
Oh, okay.
But it'll be in our original one, so we could probably put it in the description.
Yeah. No, it's lovely.
Oh, it might be
really,
in my
really
box.
pretty.
Anyway, did I write it down? No, I didn't. Sometimes I write the fabric down I used. So this finishes at 32-inch square.
Yeah.
I used the Charm Pack, but I needed a total of 64 5-inch squares.
Right.
Or the equivalent of. So I did have to add some bits. So I actually had a fat quarter of some of the fabrics.
Right.
And because I was making 4 patches like you did, so mine was the same, you know, large squares, small squares, I did actually have a couple of 2.5-inch strips in the light.
Right.
That I could add in.
Yeah. Perfect.
So it sort of equated to a total of 64 5-inch squares, but some of it came from strips.
That's surprising actually, because when you look at the size of it, you think you would imagine it to be bigger.
Yeah.
Having used that many.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's because, like I say,
interested
once
now.
again, I trimmed down, so it ended up at 4.5.
Yeah.
4.5 inches. But yeah, I mostly just wanted to use the Charm Pack without having to add lots and lots of extra fabric. But it was mostly lights. I mostly had to add the light fabric in.
Yeah.
But you can see from this as well, you know, I pulled out some of the charm squares in the pack and used them as the light.
Yeah.
Rather than just having sort of a solid.
Ah, right. Yes, I can see that now.
To give it a bit of interest. So the block I did, and if we sort of put this under the close-up, so you can see, and I'm going to do this top corner because it's actually one block or 2 blocks that look like this. So it's a double 4-patch block.
Right.
Which is 2 squares, 2 large squares, and 2.
And do you make that as a 4?
Yeah.
So you don't make that one?
No.
Right. Oh,
you
I'm
actually
with you.
make them as a double 4-patch.
Right. Okay.
So you do a light version. So that's the light version where the large squares are light.
Yeah.
And then your 4 patches. And then you do a dark version, which is exactly the same, with 2 large squares and 2 4 patches.
Oh. All right. Oh, that's a really good way of doing it, isn't it?
Yeah. But when you look at it, you're like, did she just make a lot of...
Yeah,
but
well,
no,
that's
it's
what I
actually
thought.
made as a double 4-patch block. So
Very
the same
good.
amount of lights and darks. So I'll put all the, I won't go through all of it. We'll put all the numbers, as it were, in the description. But what I ended up needing in total was 16 dark 4.5-inch squares, 16 light 4.5-inch squares, 64 dark 2.5-inch squares, and 64 light 2.5-inch squares. So that's the quantities for the whole quilt. All right, so should we have a look how to make a block? Because once you've made one, you can do both. So I've just got some bits of fabric here. So I'm going to do a light version, and you can see here I just grabbed just a spare light from my 5-inch box because I keep random charm squares in it, like I do my 2.5-inch squares. And like you, I'm going to trim this down to 4.5. And like you, I'm also going to take the pinked edges off because I just find it's easier to work without pinked edges.
I was going to say, do you want the twirly ruler? But
Yeah,
you've
I
got
think-
this.
I think
The
I'm
twirly
right.
mat, rather, but you've got this. You've done this before, haven't you? I can tell.
Well, not my first rodeo. At home, I tend to just have the mat. And I find sometimes with the rotating mats, you're trying to control the mat. I don't know if it's just me. But it just sort of goes a bit...
Yeah.
So I just sort of tend to do...
done that
before. two at a time.
Yeah.
So if we have a look at the block there, my 2 large squares go like that.
Yeah.
And then I just need to whip up,
As you do,
a couple of 4 patches. So we'll do that quickly. But you can see, like I say, some of the fabric I cut because we're doing 2.5-inch squares now.
So we were saying earlier about cutting, so you wouldn't put your 2.5 inches on that and machine all the way down.
I didn't for this. I didn't. No. You could.
I know some people do. I've seen it done,
Yeah.
but I don't know how much time it saves.
I'm not
because you've still got to, like you say, cut them off.
Cut them. I don't know, for me, I don't feel like it saves me much time. And also, if I've got my squares like this, if I'm up at my sewing group, I can use it as like leader enders in between. And for my brain, it's easier to work with squares than trying to work out what I'm doing with strips, particularly, like say, if I'm doing it in between other bits of sewing. So I tend to just do squares. But
I think it's easier because you sit at your machine with like a whole stack
yes,
and you just go for it.
And you just make your pairs and then you just make your fours. So, and you can make, you know, quite a few blocks in between other bits. So I just picked, excuse me, I just picked sort of a couple of the lights, and I'm going to do, I need to make 2 4 patches. Let's do that and that. But this is really good because I just used random lights, so it used up quite a lot of...
What is great is I'm just thinking I could do a scrap quilt because, like you, since we had our get-together of how we store fabric, I've now started cutting up my scraps into 2.5 inch and 5 inch.
Yeah.
So this would be perfect because, okay, we've got to cut it down to 4.5, but I could just go through and you could make a scrap quilt like this, couldn't you?
Like this, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just keep going until you run out of fabric. You know, whatever size you get to is the size you get to.
Yeah. No, brilliant idea. I love the block. I wouldn't have thought of doing it like that. I would have done it separately, yeah.
So I'm going to take these.
I learned so much from you, Jeanette.
Well, we learn so much from each other.
When I grow up, I want to be just like you.
When I grow up. Be careful what you wish for. That's all I can say to that. Right. Now, unlike Katrina, I'm not going to take these to the iron and press. I'm just going to do here at the machine. And I'm just going to finger press, and I just go under the dark.
And do you find you can still be as accurate like that?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Maybe I'll give it a go because it does save.
It saves a bit of time.
Time, doesn't it? And then you press it all at the end.
Yeah.
I suppose when there's small pieces like that, you can get away with it.
Yeah, it depends also on the complexity, that's the right word, of the block. If it's like a really complex block, sometimes I press just because it just fits together better. But a little 4 patch, I don't tend to worry too much. Now this is the point I would take it to the iron and either swell my seams at the iron.
Okay.
But there you see,
Yeah.
it just comes out. Just put that under the camera so you can see in terms of
nice.
accuracy.
Just as good, yeah.
No different. Also, if you've got one of the little seam presses, you know, the little roller.
Oh, I know, yeah.
They can quite handy. It just saves a bit of time. And also the less sort of heat and movement of the fabric, the less you're going to distort your blocks.
Yeah, definitely.
So we can just, actually, I've got to watch which, oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Which
I'm loving this.
Which way the seams are going.
Seams.
You need to make sure, if that seam doesn't open, if you've kept your pieces all chained, if you don't snip the thread in between, you'll have the thread that will hold that shut.
Oh yeah, because I've done that sometimes. I've not bothered snipping. I've just done it. I know
and
exactly what you mean.
then that thread, you can't swell your seam then because that thread will hold.
I'm loving that.
Hold your seam.
Do you want me to press it for you?
Oh, that will be very lovely.
Well, you know, you often press for me. I've got to return the compliment.
Really cheeky. You got 2.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah, see, you should have a friend in the sewing room, isn't it?
Yeah, you definitely need a presser.
Go quick.
Right, there we are.
Now, the only thing to watch with the construction of the block, so I've got my 2 lights there, is the corresponding lights in your 4 patch need to be pointing in the same direction.
Yes.
So that would be wrong, because your darks are going in the same direction as your lights. Oh. And the same when you come to do the darks. If they are dark, then the darks need to be.
Yeah.
But I made all my blocks sort of like this. So the big squares top right, bottom left, and then the 4 patches there, and then just turn them. So the lights need to be pointing in the same direction. And if that was dark,
that makes sense.
all the darks would be going in the same direction.
Yeah.
So let me just, so this now just comes together like a giant 4 patch. So we'll do that, and then we'll have a look at the layout. I was just sewing that, thinking, I hope I've not sewn the wrong.
I should have been paying attention.
Should have been paying more attention. Now I press towards the larger. We'll find out in a minute. I press towards the larger squares. Yeah, see, I did. Right, let me show everybody. Now when I was sewing it, I was thinking, I think I'm sewing the wrong seam. You see here now, these are going in the wrong direction.
So that needs to be on the other side.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the only place, if you like. I knew I was doing it. I should have checked, shouldn't I?
See, I could have offered to unpick as well, couldn't I? If you were doing loads right now, I would, because I'm that nice. I would have unpicked for you. But as you've only got one, I'm not that nice today.
All right.
And you can unpick your own.
Okay.
Because we haven't got any more to do.
No.
Is that right?
Yes.
Right, that's fine.
Yeah, it's good. Chat among yourselves. Okay, so I fixed that. So what I was saying, the place you can go wrong is making sure that was in the orientation. But yeah, as I picked that up, I realised what I'd actually sewn was that 2 top edges together. But when I was at the machine, I was thinking, I think I've sewn the wrong seam. So
it just amazes me how you have this kind of instinct sometimes, don't you, when you're working? You think, no, I've done that wrong.
Yeah. But also, it's just like that. I don't know. It didn't look like all the others I'd made.
Yeah.
So there it is. So now we've corrected it, and all I did, just for viewers, is just unpick that seam, just put my blocks back down so I know how it should look, and then I've just done that quarter again.
Yeah.
So, no problem. I've pressed my seams under the large squares, and now we're just going to sew that together like a giant 4 patch. And that's why it's called double 4 patch, because you've got the small 4 patches in a 4 patch.
No, it's great. I love it. A whole new block for me to play around with now.
Well, you like squares as well, don't you?
I do. I love squares and rectangles much more than triangles.
And there's the block.
Ta-da!
So if I do it like that, that's the orientation.
Yeah. Brilliant.
So let's give that a press. My 4 patches are nicely pressed.
Oh, you had a helper.
I did. I had a handy helper. So if we have a look at the quilt, so you can see there, that's a light. So I basically was thinking in my mind, I'm making light blocks and dark blocks. So I went light, dark, but all the darks I just twisted so that the large squares come together.
Right.
And then so all the lights are going in the same orientation, and all the darks are going in the opposite. But what that makes is this secondary big 4 patch here.
Oh, yes.
In places. So you can sort of see.
Yeah.
And then underneath, just alternate. So, but I kept all the darks in the same orientation.
Yeah, and all the lights.
And all the lights in the same orientation throughout the whole quilt.
I'm loving how you've quilted this. I'm loving this, well, straight stitch wavy line, actually,
straight
isn't it?
Stitch. I just draw one wavy line, and the secret is not to go too curvy. Just keep your curves sort of quite nice and shallow. And then you can just echo it. And I just use my seam, my quilt guide on my foot.
So you do one in the middle?
Just do one in the middle to a shape I like. And then,
and then your seam guide.
Yeah, and I think that comes out.
Sorry, your quilt guide, not your seam guide.
Yeah, I said seam guide. We're used to talking about 2 inches apart.
I love it because it's all squares and then you've got this curvy quilting. It gives movement to the whole thing. It's lovely. I really love it.
But really quick and simple to do. The other thing I'm just going to point out, because we did a little short recently about colours of thread. If you have a look at my colour of thread, it's pale yellow.
I saw that you did, and actually it's really helped me out because I was quilting a quilt the other day and I thought it had got pinks and purples and whites, and I was going to go with purple thread, and the pink is lighter, and I thought, I remember seeing Jeanette's top tip, and I've gone with the pale pink. and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
I was really pleased with it. That's a fantastic tip.
I tend to lay if I've got like a choice, lay the three threads, that's a tongue twister, across and see which one looks best. But I will quite often go with the lighter, but not white, because white, if you've got a dark colour in there, white can really pop off it.
Yes.
Whereas
I know what you
something
mean.
with a slight colour just tends to sink in and blend a little bit more. And I like to see the texture, but not necessarily the stitching.
So you wouldn't know that was yellow thread, would you? When you look on the white ones, you wouldn't know.
No.
You would think, no, that's a really good tip.
It does disappear.
Yeah. Yeah,
so
lovely.
On the back, I chose this really, I think this was it a ginger bear fabric, but we had this here on the bolt, and it just, the colours, it's got all these little baby animals. It was just perfect. So I actually got 1.25 metres, a metre for the back, and then 4 width of fabric strips for the binding.
Lovely. It's
I loved
absolutely
doing this
gorgeous.
little quilt. I had in mind a little soft pastel baby quilt.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's absolutely gorgeous, Jeanette. Well, thank you.
Well done, you.
Thank you for sharing that with
Well done,
me.
us. And well done to all of you at home that's had a go at the Charm Pack Challenge. I knew a few of the girls here have, and some of them, Jenny's been doing little tops and all sorts.
Oh, I saw that.
With 5-inch squares.
Yeah,
So I think we've all been enjoying the Charm Packs.
Yeah, definitely.
So thank you for that. Do share your photos if you haven't already with us on Instagram and Facebook. We've also recently started doing some shorts in TikTok. I think the one we were just talking about, the colour threads, I think that's in TikTok as well. So you can find us in TikTok now as well. But thank you, Katrina.
Oh, thank you. I've learnt so much today.
I hope you've all enjoyed that, and I hope you'll join us both here again next time in the sewing studio.